we doing with the planet? Yeah, since the Industrial Revolution, I think we can say we are consuming our planet. We create climate change. We feel it more and more. You feel it in Africa, but it arrives anywhere. We have it in Europe and in many, many places in all parts. And we know this, these photos, these pictures, what does it look like? It can be dryness, it can be water, floodings, and affects the whole animals and human beings. We have still war and violence on this planet. Maybe we thought we have gotten over it, but it comes back again and again. We have hunger, poverty. It creates migration, so it's a global world. And we have pollution in the planet, many aspects to pollute the environment. And if we have a health problem, nowadays it's not local, it is global. So we have global pandemic, and we must think health globally. And yeah, we have global working conditions along the supply chains in the world, because industry is connected. It's not isolated in Zambia or in Germany. There are relations, so everything influences the other. So we must think, of course, about safety and health at those workplaces, at those global workplaces. And what is the situation? Let's have a short video. Yeah, a bit more sound. Yeah, I think what happens needs no words. We just, this short 1-minute video shows the whole situation and what's the outcome of unsafe work. And this is not from Africa, it's from Asia, from Singapore, a country which is very much committed to Vision Zero as well. But I have seen it several times, and I must say it always affects me. And yeah, this is the situation we face. And the question is, if we want to have the dimension of this situation, let's have a look to the statistical data. This is a slide from German social insurance where we can see that we make progress. Over 100 years, serious accidents compensated in Germany. And you see the curve is really going down close to zero. And we focused first on the technology, and then we said we need management systems, and now we arrived at people. And the more we come close to zero, the more difficult it will be to create further progress. So the global figures, we heard a little bit about them already, say that we have every year more than 400 million accidents at work. 2,350,000 people die because of diseases which have their reason at the workplace. And 550,000 people die because they suffer a fatal accident. You can see from these figures what the doctor mentioned in the opening, that the health problem is even bigger than the safety problem. Yeah, and some people think I cannot afford to invest in safety in a company. So let's have a look to the economical dimension. Does it really pay off? And for this, I would like to repeat the famous research work of the ISA, where we found out that it pays off to invest, to spend money for prevention, and we developed the return of prevention indicator, and the 2.2 means invest $1, you will win $2.2. So this is also an economic advantage. And because we are not enough investing, we have this figure. We lose 5.4% of the global GDP, and every country suffers. And if I translate it to dollar, it is the unimaginable amount of $5,212 billion. And we could, if we get improved, we can use this money for better purposes, for people, for society, for infrastructure, for whatever. And today we must think, how can we create, how can we change our economy, our companies to sustainable businesses? So this discussion led in the ISA to a serious communication and discussion about what is safety, what can we do different, what can we do different in health and in well-being. So the third pillar of Vision Zero. And we started the journey, and today I want to not only to concern you with bad news. I think there is a light of hope if we use this door, this Vision Zero door. So the ISA launched in 2017 at the World Congress in Singapore the first global initiative or strategy. I don't like the word campaign, because a campaign starts and tomorrow the next one comes. This is a long-lasting initiative. We will never be ready and say, now we can do something else. Yeah? We must keep the line. So we started this strategy, and it is a strategy to implement, to guide people and enterprises to a culture, to a new culture of thinking, which is not just to comply with the law, to do the minimum you have to do. So the definition is, it is a strategy for a completely new mindset, because every accident has a cause, or more than one causes, and therefore they can be prevented. There is no accident where we should say, unpreventable, must happen. Yeah? Sometimes it's hard to find the causes and you must go very deep, but there are causes. Every work-related disease is preventable, and we have a special focus on fatalities and on serious accidents and diseases. So this is the long version, and the short version: everybody has the right to return safe and healthy from work back home every day. There are 3 pillars. Later we will look into the 3 pillars. First is safety. I call it the classic approach, and I still observe that many companies are very good in safety, but they don't do enough in the health topic and in the mental health topic. So therefore, our second pillar is health, and I mentioned it, it's the undervalued factor, and to have a stable table, we have the well-being, and well-being stands for me for the mental health of the workers, of the workforce, and has very much to do with the leadership and with the culture you have in your workplaces, in your company. When we came up with this idea, we had a lot of commitment, and people were waving flags and said, yes, why didn't we do that earlier? We want to do it. But the next question was, how can we do it? And therefore, we have been looking not for a complicated scientific answer, but for an emotional answer, to use what we see with our common sense if we open our eyes. And we said we must keep it simple, because safety and health and well-being, it's not always complicated. You can see 90–95% of unsafe situations if you just are aware. And the answer, therefore, is the, I could say, meanwhile, famous 7 golden rules. Today I go not very much in the details, just to remind you. It starts with leadership. It's a big problem in many companies because we like to delegate it to the Bosch experts, but the leaders have the key. The second is risk identification. Know the weak points. So you must look, you must analyze accidents, you must do proactive risk assessment. If you know it, you can create what to do, you can set up your own targets, your program, and then there must be a component of good organization or management system. Of course, we need safe technology. If there is something unsafe, electricity is very often a problem. I saw it outside. Also, I can improve something. So let's look to the technology we use, and then we come back to people. We need the competence of the workers, of every worker in the workplace, of every manager. So we must train them and train them again. And last but not least, involve your workers in what you do, because very often they have the idea, they know best what is good, what works, what does not work, what is theory, what is good practice, and that requires a good social dialogue on the workplace. So managers and workers should talk to each other. Sometimes we have the question, is this a new management system? And my answer is no. It is beyond a management system, it's a new culture. because it's made by humans. And we know, and we have a lot and many examples meanwhile. Karl-Heinz mentioned 20,000 companies globally, where we can show if you use the 7 golden rules and you really look in every one of them, so it's not enough to use just one, so you must use anyone. You will be on that highway to create such a culture, such a new prevention culture, and you come mile by mile closer to the Vision Zero destination. So let's go on that road. And meanwhile, we have a lot of tools. And some of the tools will be shown during this conference here. To give you a summary, what's available, I just have one slide. You find everything on the visionsero.global website for free. So it's open source. Everybody can download, can use it. We have the famous Vision Zero guide, which was the first tool to explain more. There are checklists for the 7 rules, and I still recommend it to you. We have an edition for the small companies, only 2 pages. We organize advice and consulting by the ISA section network. We have had a project for developing and describing leading indicators. How can you really measure the progress? To not just use the lagging indicator, the numbers of accidents, but you should have other indicators beside the lagging indicators. Have a look to the leading indicators. There are 2 indicators for every golden rule. So we follow the structure of the golden rules. We have a lot of options, opportunities for training. We have found out, and this is a cooperation with the European Association of OSH experts, and there will be a presentation later, that you can use the same structure for environmental questions, because if you have dust, behind the fence, it's occupational safety and health. If you have dust outside the fence, it's environmental protection. The same with noise, with other chemicals. Yeah? So I think it's good to use the same concept for as many topics as possible. Environmental guide. We have newly published the well-being guide. It will be introduced as well, and soon we will publish a guideline for supply chains, for global supply chains, and one for the labor inspectors, because we think we should all speak with one voice to the industry, not one from the workers' compensation comes and say, do that, and tomorrow the labor inspector comes say something else, and you get confused. So let's speak with one voice, with the same voice. Everything on Vision Zero.global. It is a success story. We heard the figures. This is a photo similar to that room. Yeah, I know you can be enthusiastic as well. And this is from Singapore and the big launch. Why? I think people like it's simple, clear, it's about humans, about people, it has emotion, it attracts leaders and politicians, we see it in Zambia, it inspires people. So this is the success of Vision Zero. At the end of my presentation, I have 5 reflections where we want to go with this initiative in the future, in the next years, and I hope that we can do a lot together. So I know Zambia is one of the most important mining countries, so we are available for mining to work with you, and we want to organize a workshop next year in February or March. So let's cooperate. I think we have the toolbox meanwhile. We should now focus more on how can we really implement it in the companies, at the company levels. And for that, we have already, and we will publish something as well in the future, we have a concept what a company can do. Today, because of the time, I go not in the details, but it is a 12-step concept, and more or less it means that the company should develop its own Vision Zero strategy and then follow the strategy, not to find out one activity and then come to the next one, what can we do next? No, you need to have a strategic approach, and we can work together in order to implement it in Zambia. We can make educate trainers or train the trainers, so and advisors as well. The second reflection is, I think we need more countries like Zambia, where there is a strong organization like the workers' compensation here, which is taking the lead with the acceptance of the government and creates a table, a round table, where all stakeholders can sit on the table and can work together for the country implementation of Vision Zero. And we have a lot of other good examples. We have it in Germany, in Singapore. We just finished a project in Pakistan, and the result is, I think I have a slide as well. The result is such a document, which is the National Vision Zero strategy for Pakistan, and it has a lot of targets and a lot of measures defined over a many-year targeted timeline, because it's not a switch. You cannot change it from today till tomorrow. So I think this is a good approach, and we believe that many countries should follow this initiative. And it can be, of course, adapted to the needs of the country, because they are maybe different. And the good news is that even the European Union, and I think we are connected, Zambia delivers minerals to Europe and other products, they have in their strategic framework the Vision Zero as an element. So let's do the same. The better it will fit to make good economic relation. Yeah, this is just what we do in this strategy development. So you must see what has to be done, who is the owner and who are the stakeholders, where to go, the targets, the timeline, the measures, the structures, and then probably an annual conference where you report the progress. So this is in a few words what we suggest. Yeah, you have what I showed you already, this Punjab, Pakistan strategic approach. Third reflection, let us leave our silo. These are a lot of silos, you have them here as well. And my observation is, we think in our own silo. The safety and health people are in the silo. Sometimes safety and health are two different silos. I don't know too much how the situation is in your country. Then we think public health, the corona, the pandemic. We have a private life. Sometimes we say no risk, no fun in private life. Yeah? But how can you behave safe at the workplace when you take critical risk wherever else you go? School is a very important topic. What are we learning? What are we teaching in the school, in the universities? And even the finance sector is now another silo. So I think thinking and acting in silos is not sufficient, because human beings have only one brain, so we must integrate our activities. And this is only an example how we believe that the competence for Vision Zero should be further developed. I will not go into detail. Yeah, and I think this example, what do we learn at the university? I'm a mechanical engineer. I heard nothing about safety, but I came in a leadership position. So how can I really inspire my co-workers if I'm not learning something about what is the responsibility of a leader and how to talk to people? Yeah? So don't forget that we educate in the university the future leaders. Of course, it has to be a concern of the high level of the management. So if you want to go there, there are a lot of benefits and arguments and opportunities on the road. Maybe it starts with better compliance with the law. Some say this is my most important concern. But less accidents, less diseases mean less harm, less cost. We can show that. Motivated and creative workers produce better quality. Better company image is one other benefit. Attractive for new staff. If the young generation more and more ask which company is the right one for me, which workplace, and they want to know more than just the salary. And you can also connect to a really big global trend, and happy workers means better business. And this leads me to the last final point. I think really collaboration is future. So we must unite, we must work together beyond the borders, between the social partners, between all stakeholders in a country, management, CEOs, experts, beyond the sectors, because the sectors are connected by the supply chains and along the global supply chains. So let's say we have one world, we have one mankind, and we have one Vision Zero for everything. So this is, in my opinion, the future, and there we want to go. I would like to thank you so much that we work together for a better world, for one Vision Zero. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody seems to have misplaced their car keys. If it happens to be you could let me know. It's a Toyota. I'm not sure, it might be a Hilux. If it is, I might go into the car park and start clicking and find it and drive off. But it's, I've got the keys here. If you're missing your car keys, please see me. So, our next talk, ladies and gentlemen, is about the power of leadership. And I'm going to invite the chairperson of African Vision Zero Network, who's going to speak to us. Dr. Elizabeth Lungu Nkumula is the founder and chairperson of Envis Consulting Limited and the board chairperson of Zambia International Trade Fair Trust and Radio Gender Trust. She's the chairperson of Africa Vision Zero Network and also serves as a board member on USA Africa Trade Council in the USA and on CELD in the UK. She's an ambassador for Patient Safety Movement Foundation in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, on our talk on the power of leadership, please let us welcome Dr. Elizabeth Mukula.
Good afternoon, everyone. My topic today is on the power of leadership. And first of all, I'd like to thank very much everyone who's here for having me here today. It's a great honor to be with some of the leading professionals in safety and health industry. On behalf of Africa Vision Zero Network, I would like to say many thank yous. First of all, I want to say thank you to members of the International Planning Committee, which I chair. Thank you very much. I would also like to say thank you to the chairperson of the National Steering Committee, the permanent secretary of Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Mr. Luhanga, and his team. Okay, I'll do it my paper. I want to also thank the chairperson of the National Organizing Committee, Mr. George Ashinka, and his members, and all those that contributed to make this conference a success. Special thanks goes to the Minister of Labor and Social Security, Honorable Brenda Tambatamba, for her support and for inviting the Honorable Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, to be the guest of honor for this conference. Many, many thanks goes to the sponsors and the speakers and yourselves. Without you, this conference would not have been a success. I would like to thank the international speakers that have traveled all the way at their own cost. Thank you very much, international speakers. I have a story to tell, and my story is on chemical accidents, a case that I experienced. A young female artisan was assigned to work in a small unventilated bathroom at one of the company's flats. She was wearing a pair of jeans, a short-sleeved shirt, and 2 layers of latex gloves. She was using a methylene chloride paint stripper without ventilation or respiratory protection. At the end of the day, she did not return home to her husband. She was newly married, so she didn't return home. She was found dead in the bathroom, slumped over the side of the bathtub. The company findings confirm that she died from overexposure of methylene chloride and methanol. The estimated airborne concentration of methylene chloride in the room may have reached 10 times the level considered dangerous to health and life. The investigation found out that the air blower and the PPE, which is the personal protective equipment, which was provided by the employer, were not used. They were left in the car. Apparently, she chose not to use them. Now, the question is, why didn't she use them? I guess we will never know. Nevertheless, the family was compensated, but this could have been avoided. You might be thinking and wondering, what is this story got to do with my speech, Power of Leadership? I always tell this story because of the role I played at workers' compensation when we're compensating such kind of cases. This is where I came to understand the importance of safety and health at workplaces, and how safety and health at workplaces affect the success of a company, the success of a business, the success of profitability and sustainability of the company. Most times, employers or leaders in the company do not relate safety and health to profitability. Since then, with that story in mind, the safety and health became very close to my heart. And this story has made me, and also made me decide to take the leadership in bringing Vision Zero to the Zambian population and workplaces. In 2017, I did attend a World Congress in Singapore where Vision Zero was being launched globally, and I fell in love with Vision Zero and decided to bring it to Zambia. And then we successfully launched in 2018, December. I have two aspects of my speech today. The power of leadership is one of them. The other one is the importance of leadership in investing in safety and health beyond compliance. The previous speaker, Helmut, did talk about leadership a little bit, and he was telling us that leadership is a problem in workplaces. In most cases, if the leader decides not to be interested in safety and health, then there will be nothing happening in that company. Let's talk about the power, and leadership. These are two closely related concepts. One can define power as the leader's potential to influence the activities of others towards accomplishing a goal. Well, leadership can be defined as influencing the activities of others towards accomplishment of a goal. There is a difference there. Now, I want to know, why is power important in leadership? Power is important in an organization because it helps to accomplish one's objectives. The more power an individual or a group of individuals held in an organization, the more influence it will have and the more they can achieve. Power within an organization can be accumulated in a number of ways. In an organization setting, leaders must exert power to achieve individual or group goals. Leaders must also be able to influence their followers to achieve greater performance, also influence their superiors and peers to make an important decision. At the same time, leaders must be able to influence the stakeholders to ensure feasibility of organizations. There are 5 sources of power that are deeply embedded in an organization. A number of authors have identified 5 types of social power. The first one being legitimate power, which is sometimes called position power. This is the power that is given to a person based on their position or role that they are playing. The other sources of power are reward power, coercive power, information power, reference power, and expert power. Smart leaders usually use the most effective type of power at the correct time. For example, because a person has been elevated to a level of expertise, he or she can persuade others to do things for them using trust and respect. And this is known as a power of expert. And therefore, this type of power, which is expert power, is greatly valued in leadership role. Now, what is the power of a self-leader? A self-leader has the power to go beyond just protecting the organization. A self-leader should also go beyond investing in any other thing apart from safety. What you should know, self-leaders present here, is that you are the difference between a company that survives and a company that thrives. Remember, your employees rely on you to keep them safe, and your management teams rely on you to prevent the business creeping accidents. Now, what makes a great leader? What makes a great leader? A great leader is a leader that is focused and has a vision. A great leader is courageous, has integrity, humility, and a great leader should not have jealousy in them. A great leader usually helps people reach their goals. They are not afraid to hire people that are better than them. Great leaders work to build their sources of power. And it doesn't take jealousy. They are always pride in the accomplishments of those that they have helped along the way. A great leader uses power wisely and justly, or it can become a liability rather than an asset if you use it wrongly. As it only takes one incompetent act to result in immediate loss of power. The great leader works to build his resources of power and use that power to influence others wisely. What are the roles of great leaders, one may ask? The first role of the leader, which they must play, is clearly to be a chief meeting officer. Being a chief meeting officer, they should let everyone know where they are going to. They should let everybody know how to get there. They should let everybody know why they are going there. And most importantly, what is it in for them? Obviously, it's not something, it's just what is it in for them, they must know. And most of the times, the why is left out when leaders commit to a new job or a project. They just come out and say, I need change. There has to be change. Forgetting that people hate change. Therefore, there's need to explain to your subordinates and tell them why there is that change. They must understand that to appreciate. As a leader, I said earlier, you have to be the chief meeting officer who gives meaning to everyone and to those people that are out there working for you as a leader, so that they understand their job. Also, good to understand another area of their job, which is to give those directives that you give to your subordinates. Giving those directives and understand that getting off the clutter is a big deal. As a leader, you also got to be grooming away the stuff that you don't like. You got to be a chief groomer as well. In a workplace, leaders make worker safety and health a core value of an organization, and usually they are fully committed to eliminating the hazards, protecting workers, and continuously improving workplace safety and health. Therefore, good leadership in occupational safety and health is important in that leaders are the key persons in an organization to design and improve the working conditions. As a leader, you've got to be generous in imparting knowledge to your team. You've just got to get into the skill, but you cannot be jealous. You should not have jealousy. Definitely you can't. You can't have that and win. As a leader, you also have to be excited to succeed all the time. You have to be excited. Always find a way to win. Because work is fun. You have to make it fun and be the chief meaning officer that I talked about, who always finds ways to achieve the objectives that are set. In my view, as a leader, we have a huge responsibility. God has given us this job where we are responsible for people's lives. Yes, it's a big deal. And therefore, we should make it a big success for all of them. Please grab the chance to do so. And remember, we got families we are responsible for. Now, what leadership promotes the culture of safety? A safe leadership that puts employee safety in the workplace as a priority. A safe leadership that involves establishing and implementing policies, procedures, and regulations that ensure the well-being of workers. A safety leadership that is about creating a culture of safety within an organization. A culture of safety which consists of attitudes, values, beliefs that are demonstrated in the workplace on a daily basis. A safety leadership that affects the mental, physical well-being of employees, such as respect, appreciation, commitment to balance the workload, decision latitude, employee involvement, and support for work-life balance. That's a safety leadership. Usually, strong safety leaders recognize solid health, safety, performance, drive the business results. They promote a culture of safety in organizations. Strong safety leaders integrate prevention measures into the business strategies, processes, and performance measures. And if you do integrate that, then you're looking at profitability and sustainability of an organization. Strong leaders in safety go beyond compliance. They go beyond meeting the legal obligations, and instead, they seek to meet the spirit of law, knowing that organization performance depends on healthy, safe, engaged employees. Therefore, as safe leaders, you can help your organizations to achieve safety culture by advocating safety and health in your organizations. The employees' safety and health is a fundamental and it's achievable. A critical role of a chief executive or chief executive or executive leaders resonates powerfully at both corporate and social level. However, the business case for safety and health resonates whether the organization is motivated by profitability or the bottom line or reputation or corporate social responsibility. One may ask, what can leaders do to promote safety and health culture? Research is clear, the research is very clear, that prevention culture begins and ends with the executive leader's passion and safety and health. Chief executives who are here, owners of the businesses, and other leaders within the organization can promote safety and health and transform the workplace by doing several things. One, wholeheartedly embracing the goal of zero injuries, illnesses, and fatalities in a company. Second, by making it personal. Who would tolerate an injury to himself or herself or to one's family member or to a co-worker? Nobody. Three, by demonstrating to employees that safety and health matters. Four, by visibly participating, for example, joining joint safety and health committees at the workplace. Five, by conducting inspections at least twice a year, just joining in the inspection, like we have seen from the Honorable Minister of Labor and Social Security. She does join in doing these inspections. So leaders should conduct themselves like that. Number six, by making the expectations of supervisors known and holding them accountable, because accountability is the key to building a healthy and safe culture and assuring that management and supervisors' behavior never lose track of the importance of health and safety at work. Number seven, the last one, chief executive and owners of the company can do, is by creating supervisors' awareness. For example, around the critical issue of orientation training, which in my view is often the weak link when it comes to safety in an organization. Fellow leaders, a prevention culture is very important as it plays a significant role in safety performance in an organization. However, it is the leadership that establishes the standards and values in an organization. And it is the leaders that has power to enforce the safety requirements. In Zambia, the launch of Vision Zero global campaign did bring out the power of leadership in advancing prevention culture. Building a culture of safety starts with leadership, because leaders influence employees' behavior and help them overcome obstacles that they encounter on a daily basis in a workplace. Therefore, leaders should be effective at creating and sustaining change, embracing their role in safety and take ownership of the results. However, it's easier said, but the reality is that getting things done through others can be a tightrope walk under the best of circumstances, because a leader, as you are at the same time a coach, you are a director, at the same time an advocate, because we want to create those awareness. Safety excellence requires true commitment, engagement of the leadership. And the most critical success in a change is how well the leader is able to influence others. Here we are today, still advancing the Vision Zero concept, which we started in 2018. This concept, as you all know, is a transformational approach to prevention. And it's all about power of leadership. So fellow leaders, we have a great challenge and great opportunities. However, with the power of leadership, we can overcome the challenges as long as we place leadership as the center of safety and health at workplaces. I want to wish you all a good International Vision Zero conference, and please enjoy your stay in Zambia. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just before we go to the next presentation, I've been informed just to speak to those who are using, I'm sure you've seen the headphones, the little devices that are there for the translation. Please, when you do leave, please leave them behind on the tables. I think one or two have grown legs, and you can't find them. They won't work where you're taking them to. So if you can just leave them on the desk, that would really help. One or two seats will, I'm sure we'll find it. So. All right, so the next talk is about collaboration between OSH stakeholders. And I'm going to invite Mr. Alex Kakuku, who's the Technical Director, QSACD from Uganda. Mr. Kakuku is a trained integrated management systems lead auditor for quality, environment, and occupational safety and health, and an internal auditor for the energy management systems with over 15 years experience in environmental, health and safety and social safeguards management, drawn from working on projects in the manufacturing, FMGC, telecommunications, and infrastructure development sectors, such as the hydropower developments in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome Mr. Alex.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from Uganda, East Africa, and I want to share a wonderful topic about collaboration between OSH stakeholders. I'm glad that Mr. Helmer did hint about collaboration in the closing remarks of his presentation. And he made a statement that collaboration is the future. And I just want to pick it up from there with the rejoinder of my own presentation. What do we understand by collaboration? It's basically a cooperative, inter-organizational relationship that is negotiated in an ongoing communicative process. within the aspect of inter-organizational relationship that is negotiated. When we look at the ILO at its core, collaboration is demonstrated. The way it is structured with the tripartite framework, it involves employers and workers as social partners, collaborating with the government, usually through the labor ministries of the partner states. So, why do we need to collaborate? That is a very important question that we need to address in order to determine the base way forward. With the different OSH stakeholders. One of the reasons is that increasingly OSH challenges transcend national borders. It is unlikely that you will find challenges that are only endemic to Zambia, and probably colleagues in Malawi or Zimbabwe are not experiencing the similar challenges. So that calls for collaboration if we are going to address those kinds of challenges that span across borders. In Europe, for example, with the EU Commission, they realized the need that for them to address OSH issues that were transnational across borders, they came up with a need to collaborate in order to be able to harness technologies, resources to address those challenges. And this came back to PEROSH, which they refer to as the Partnership of European Research in Occupational Safety and Health. Similarly, for us here in Africa, the regional directors of the World Health Organization for the Africa Office and the International Labour Organization, the Africa Office, signed an MOU in a way of collaborating. And they looked strategically at specific issues to address OSH challenges. And one of those was looking at the area of developing national policies, programs, and legislation. I'm glad that this morning, while the Honorable Minister for Labor here in Zambia was speaking, we learned that Zambia had its own national OSH policy developed, and it's up and running as of April 28th. It's very young. But not so many countries in Africa have developed their own national OSH policies. The promotion of OSH, particularly in hazardous occupations, is a specific area that this MOU seeks to address. Areas in different industries, like the mining sector, the healthcare industry. We just experienced a pandemic of COVID-19 a few years ago that transformed the way we need to address challenges. And we can no longer look at addressing issues of OSH as independent countries. That underscores the very important need for us to rely on collaboration. One of the areas that this MOU also sought to address is in the area of information, research, and awareness raising. Now, this particular slide I want to try and demonstrate to us the different levels of collaboration and how they could possibly be interrelated. At the international level, we have the ILO, the International Labour Organization, that has a number of conventions and regulations. And once these have been put in place, member states are required to ratify this and have localized legislation that aligns with the requirements of those particular conventions and regulations developed by the International Labour Organization. I'll skip to the national level before I come to the regional level. You find that most countries in Africa do not have what we refer to as an overarching national organization that is responsible for implementing or driving the OSH agenda in these respective countries. Unlike our colleagues in the West, like in the UK, they have the HSE executive. That is the supreme organization that is responsible for managing OSH related issues. In the US, they have the OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and their counterparts in Australia have the Safe Work Australia. All these organizations have been established by their respective national laws and given the mandate to coordinate and manage issues related with OSH. In China, they also have the State Administration of Work Safety that is responsible for handling issues related with occupational safety and health as a supreme organization. When it comes to Africa, most of our countries have OSH as a department that sits with the ministries of labor, or the equivalent in respective countries. And many of these departments have not been wholly empowered to coordinate and ensure that OSH functions and concerns are addressed. So it's important for us in Africa to understand what the challenge is. If you have an entity that is not empowered, then you can hardly achieve what will be required to achieve in as far as occupational safety and health management is concerned. I'll move up to the regional level, where we have bodies or movements like OSH Africa. It is a very, very wonderful platform for us, especially in Africa, which will help us focus on the agenda that we need to achieve as a bloc, as a region. Because different countries in Africa are at different levels. And through such a platform like OSH Africa, we can collaborate at the national levels and help each other to move in the right direction. I already talked about PEROSH in Europe, through which they harness their resources together. When they do research, they share their findings across member countries and address issues to do with occupational safety and health. And most importantly, Vision Zero, the very reason why we are here in this room today. It's a very wonderful platform that is bringing us together as Africa. We had our very first happening in Lagos 2 years ago, and now we are here, and I can tell you that we are moving in the right direction, and with such a platform, we'll be able to address our challenges. So, what are the other stakeholders that we have in as far as occupational safety and health is concerned? We have the competent authorities, like the DOSH. The DOSH is the Department of Occupational Safety and Health. Trade unions or associations. We have professional associations, regional bodies, universities and colleges. So we have to find a balance and a way that all these stakeholders find their space to collaborate to ensure that the challenges that we are faced with in as far as managing OSH challenges are concerned are addressed. Going back to the International Labour Organization, the principle of tripartism, which ensures that governments, in consultation with their respective organizations, work together with the social partners, the workers, and the employers, and they have an equal voice in discussing OSH issues. National OSH policies would be a very good point to ensure that these policies that are put in place are implemented both at the national level and the enterprise levels. Beyond the OSH policies, we'll have the national OSH systems, which include mechanisms and elements necessary to build and maintain a preventive safety and health culture. And this must be progressively developed and periodically reviewed. One of the core principles for safety and work environments is the right that workers have, which is enshrined in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work. Workers, employers and governments, therefore, must ensure that the rights are protected and the working conditions and environment of workers are decent. This can only be achieved if we push for collaboration at the different levels of our OSH stakeholders. Now, we are faced with a few challenges for collaboration amongst our OSH stakeholders in Africa. And one of them is the structural deficiencies associated with our current laws. Many of them are outdated and do not respond to the challenges of the day. For example, if you look at a need to levy a penalty for a violation, when you look at the currency points that are indicated in many of these laws, when you convert the value of the penalty against the violation, someone will deliberately continue violating because they are not afraid that the amount of the penalty is way too small. So it's important that either these laws get repealed entirely and replaced with new laws that are consistent with the challenges of the day, or they get reviewed and updated. We're still faced with the challenge of lacking a centralized, overarching and empowered OSH regulatory and enforcement agency in most of our countries in Africa. It is not uncommon to find different entities under the Ministry of Labor having conflicting mandates. So it's not until we have an overarching entity that is responsible for managing or regulating those issues that will be able to address most of the concerns. As a matter of fact, it makes it appear that there is competition amongst the respective entities under the ministries. And that has an effect on collaboration. Underfunding is also a very big challenge. Most regulatory and enforcement agencies in the developing countries are underfunded. And we also faced with the challenge of inadequate staffing of technical personnel and risk specialists. If you look at the statistics from the ILO, they recommend that for every 10,000 workers in an industrial market, we should have at least one OSH inspector. So the ratio of the number of workers per inspector should be 1, rather 10,000 to 1 in industrial-based economies, and the number of 40,000 workers to 1 inspector in the less developed countries. But this has not been achieved by most of the countries in Africa. We also have a lack of a reliable online central OSH database. Those are some of the concerns that we need to address. I want to leave you with one interesting quote that Henry Ford made. Henry Ford said that coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress, and working together is success. So as we brainstorm and think about that, I want to urge us in our respective spheres to push for collaboration. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe now we'll move on to examples of National Vision Zero implementation. I believe we're going to hear from examples of these implementations from Germany, Denmark, as well as right here in Zambia. Our first speaker will be sharing with us the implementation of Vision Zero in Germany, and this is Kai Lobold, BGRCI, Germany. So please give him a big round of applause.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for introducing me. My name is Karl Allard, and I'm very pleased to be invited for this great conference. And this beautiful country, first time in my life. Yeah, and I would like to report to you about our experience in Germany with Vision Zero. In Germany, employers are covered for accident and diseases during their job by a social accident insurance. I think it's similar to the way it's in your countries. And in Germany, we have 9 of them that are separated in a number of industries. So the one I'm working for covers the chemical industry, the raw material industry, the mining industry, leather industry, as well as paper and sugar production. Yeah, you can see a little map of Germany. So I'm active as a labor inspector in the very north of Germany, close to Hamburg. Maybe you heard about it. And as a labor inspector, I have to visit companies, I have to do inspections, have to counsel and also supervise them in health and safety. As well, the VGRCI is leading the presidency of ISA Mining for many years, and I'm active as a consultant in ISA Mining for about 9 years now. Yeah, implementing Vision Zero started in 2014 when our board of directors asked for a new impulse in prevention. So our formerly head of prevention, Mr. Ines, developed the 7 golden rules that are already very famous here. So I don't need to repeat them. And we use them for all those years already now. Vision Zero doesn't mean to us zero risk strategy. This is absolutely not possible, but we see the need to reduce the risk as far there is no serious accident happening anymore. Novelty to us was to define 7 goals for a period of 10 years, and we also developed measures to reach our goals. I want to give you 3 examples of measures, clear, concrete measures we developed. First example is our training contest that addresses the young workers. Here they come a little bit in a nice way in contact to health and safety. It's a high level of motivation they get because it's like a little contest against others. And so they come in a positive connection with occupational health and safety. This is correlated to our rules number 6 and 7, invest in people and qualify them. Yeah, the result of the training contest is always very positive. It puts us in a positive mood. So we can see that a lot of them, like 60%, are motivated to learn and to train by themselves. They can show their skills. They learn about health and safety and also motivate the workers in their company. And so they start in their job with a positive connection to health and safety. The second example is a folder we created, and it's called the 12 Lifesavers. It's addressing the workers, the employers, employees, and the managers. And it is with clear slogans, announced with simple phrases based on statistics. So we analyzed around 400 fatalities in the last years and found out that there is a connection to behavior. And this folder that is also available in our download center. You can see the address on top of the slide, and it's also available in English. This should really be able to arrive everybody, especially the managers, to see that what they can do. The third example I want to show you are focused actions. So here, for example, responsibility in occupational safety that lasts for a period of 2 years and addresses the leaders especially. We want them to enter our seminars. They are also supported by lawyers to give them more seriousness and make them really think about their responsibility they have for the employer. We heard already in another presentation that this is a problem all over the world. Leaders sometimes just come in a position because they are qualified in their profession, but they don't grow in the area of health and safety. So this is a lack we want to close. Yeah, so these are the 3 examples I wanted to show you. 7 years of Vision Zero were running fast, and so we now published an interim report to see how close we come to our 7 goals, or we are already coming. In the preamble, our leaders, Mr. Oeschinen and Mr. Weiss, already confirmed that Vision Zero is our strategy and the basic strategy for our institution. This goal has not yet been reached, but we are on the right track. So this is already a little impression, but let's have a look at the results. The first goal we developed is to reduce the risk of accidents by 30%. We see it as an occupational accident per 1 million hours, and the reference value is the year 2014 to us. Now we look at the year 2021 and see that we are in a good track. This statistic is a little bit influenced by the pandemic. You can see in 2020, where we have a huge lockdown in the industry. And so this is a little bit confusing maybe. Also, we had a IT system change, so this is also a little bit problematic, but we calculated again, so this is serious and correct, more or less, this statistics. So the goal is to get down to almost 21. But we don't mind if it's less. The second goal is reducing the annual insurer pension case by 50%, so halving it. That means serious accidents with a permanent damage. So when people really lose a part of their body or something like this, and here you can see that we are not in a good way to reach our goal. This is something we really need to work on, and the years after, now we already have 2023, don't give us a lot of hope we can reach the goal. The next is, the third goal is reducing the number of fatalities by 50%, probably one of the most important goals. But here we have the situation that statistics with small numbers vary very easily. So, for example, if you see, we had in the years 2017 to 2020 low numbers, and we're in a good way to reach the goal. But in 2021, for example, we had 1 accident, an explosion with 4 fatalities, and 2 COVID infections that were in a fatality finding. So this already completely broke the statistics, and now we see how it's going on. Yeah, the next three goals will be qualitative. They are not fixed target values, numbers. So we see qualities. We want to reduce or increase something. Here it's about diseases, occupational diseases. And you can see in one graph expected occupational diseases. So they are related to the job. And the graph shows that we are in a good way to eliminate them, even if there is not one line. And in the other side, we see the pensions. So when the people has to be get a pension because of the disease, so it's really heavy disease. And here we also go lower than the reference in 2014. The reduction is mainly caused of 4 diseases. We have much less than formerly. So this is silicosis, chronic obstructive bronchitis, asbestosis, and several types of cancer. The 5th goal is to have more companies with 0 accidents to increase this number. And here you can see the main graph divided by the size of the companies, and all sizes show the growing number of 0 accident statistics. And altogether, that's the small graph in the corner. You can see that they are growing by 2.5%, so it's also a positive development. Yeah, and the last goal is also qualitative. It is need-based prevention offers. So we want to create materials, papers, and things like this that are really used, and not just because we think it's a good thing. They should really be used by the companies. And here we cannot really measure it. We can only say that we have a positive feedback from the companies, that we make surveys that give us the feedback that it's that we are on a good track, and we have a program to continuous the development and improvement of these papers that are basically papers. We have teams that do this. Yeah, so it's another goal. We think we are in a good track. And the last goal is to increase the use of the prevention offers. Here we have a growing number of seminars, information papers, and also addition of management systems. We offer our own management system that is growing by 36% until 2019. Why did I show you the numbers of 2019? Because of the pandemic, the numbers of 2020 just completely crashed the statistics, and this is saying more the truth. So these are the 7 goals, and let me say in my conclusion that we are quite optimistic that we can reach most of them. The overwhelming number of them are already in a good way. Probably 1 or 2 we will not be able to reach. But in general, it has a massive impulse. It gave a massive impulse to our department of prevention, and gave colleagues orientation, and is helping in general for us also to simplify the structure in occupational safety and health for the companies. So let me say it in 1 sentence. Vision Zero is more than reaching numbers after a period of 10 years. The real requirement is to implement a prevention culture in the companies. And in this idea, I think we are in a good way. And I want to end up with the words of our head of prevention today and formerly president of Isamini, Ulrich Niesmann, that said, that's a thick board we have to drill. We just can be patient until Vision Zero has entered the thinking. You cannot instruct, and that's why it's important to keep the wheel running. That's exactly what we are doing. Thank you very much.
So from Germany, we move on to Denmark. And ladies and gentlemen, we are about to hear from
Pernille Tau.
Pernille Tau from Human House in Denmark. She's the head of the department, International Vision Zero Consulting, senior vice president of the Danish Vision Zero Business Council, co-author of this International Vision Zero Guide on Well-being, major leadership at OHS Consulting Company Denmark. Customers include 2,500 private and public companies. Human House operates in Europe, Asia, and the Americas, authorized in all aspects of safety, health, and well-being. A professional, accredited IOSH Vision Zero training provider. Ladies and gentlemen, put our hands together for this phenomenal.
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, I think we should start by just getting up from the chairs because we've been sitting down for a long time. So please get up. I'm not a physical instructor, so I will just tell you to stretch your body and to breathe. Get in some air. You know, stretch your arms. So you can last until the body break. Thank you so much. And you can sit down or you can just stand up, that's up to you. Thank you so much. So, first of all, thank you so much to the organizers for inviting me from Denmark to the beautiful country of Zambia. I went to the national park yesterday, and you know, this is one of these experiences that I will remember for the rest of my life, to see your beautiful nature here. And I'm so honored to be part of this very important conference also. What I will be talking about is some examples of how we have implemented Vision Zero in Denmark on 3 different levels. The first level is the national level, then it's on the company level, and I will also give you some examples from the management level in companies. And I'm very much aware that our countries are very different, but I hope that some of the ideas you will take with you and that will inspire you to also implement some of these things in your countries. That's a very small writing here, I know, but it's just to show you that in Denmark we are trying to say we do not only want to measure the number of accidents, because you know accidents are always reactive. They have unfortunately happened. So what we would like to do is to try to measure the actions of the workplaces. So a more proactive approach where we look out the front window instead of just looking in the back and seeing what has already happened. So now we are trying for the next 10 years to actually measure what is the safety culture in the companies. Not only accidents, but what is the safety culture? And we try to do this by making surveys that we send out to the companies and ask them, do they have good processes for safety and safety culture? And of course, you never know if they, answer it in a truthful way, and so we also make some checks of this. But as you can see, we ask the companies, do you do risk assessments on safety and health and well-being? Because we have goals for all 3 areas. Do they do safety rounds, safety instructions, and what type of accident prevention measures do we have in the companies? And there's another idea with this because it makes the companies more aware of the prevention measures. So not only reporting the accident level. Also, we asked the employees in national surveys, and you can see the 5 sentences. You can read them also. These are the 5 questions that we asked the employees, because specifically these 5 questions we have investigated in Denmark are directly related to the reduction of accidents. So if you score high on these 5 questions, you will probably see fewer accidents. And I'm sure you recognize some of the themes, whether you have the necessary instruction, whether management encourages employees to work safely even when the work schedule is tight. We talked about earlier the leadership, and there's always this best balance of, yes, maybe we want safety, but maybe not if it takes too much time, or maybe not if it goes in contradiction with productivity and things like this. So we ask the employees, how is it actually in the Danish workplaces? There it is again. So we will monitor this for the next 10 years, and hopefully there will be a positive development in how the companies and the employees view the good processes for a safety culture. On the company level, we in Human House have initiated a Danish Vision Zero Business Council. And this was very much inspired by the Global Vision Zero Business Council. And the idea in the Global Council and also in the Danish Council is to collect the largest companies in Denmark that work on an international level. And we have invited the top professional managers to join the council. Because we believe that if we put the most important, or not most important, but the largest companies together and discuss Vision Zero, this will have an effect on the country as a whole in Denmark, and of course also on the different companies and the suppliers and so on. So we have now for 4 years had this Danish Vision Zero Business Council, and they attend almost full attention from all these managers 4 whole days a year, where they have knowledge sharing, they learn from each other, they talk about the difficult things about implementing good safety, health, and well-being cultures. And I think you should all try to have this type of company gatherings, even on a smaller level, but to have this forum for knowledge sharing among the companies, or even among the departments in one company. But the idea of collecting the us professionals in this way. So this is an example of the type of themes that we discuss in the Danish Vision Zero Business Council. We were so fortunate to actually have some lectures from some of the larger international companies telling about how do they work with health and safety in many different countries of theirs. Then we have heard it before today, we have the ever ongoing theme of top management commitments. What does it mean, us leadership prevention? I will get back to that. The return on prevention that we have already heard by Ines. We have had the theme of how to make proactive leading indicators in the companies and how to actually implement and get progress on the safety and prevention cultures in companies. And these people, they are very honest. So they don't, it's not a competition of who's doing the best job. It's really good, honest discussions about what is difficult. So I invite all of you to think about how can you make these collaborations also in your countries and your areas. Then another way of thinking I'd like to give to you is that in the Danish Vision Zero Business Council, we talk a lot about the integration of safety, health, and well-being. We heard about this before, but what is really important is that we can never understand the safety if we do not understand the well-being also. Because you know, everybody's so busy, and sometimes the accidents happen because you know, people are tired, they need to meet the production deadlines and so on. So we always need to understand these matters together. Also, it's your mental health is can be even destroyed if you feel that your job function is not secure and it's unsafe when you go to work. So we need to think all of this together. And what is also important is that it's very easy to measure the safety, because that's 0 accidents, that's a quantitative number that you can count. But it's not so easy to measure the long-term exposure, right? We heard about this also earlier before. So how do we measure the exposure to dust, to chemicals, the health effects of shift work and all this? And this is why it's really important that we define also goals, not only for safety, but for health in the broader sense. So we measure good processes, the leading indicators, when we measure prevention of noise and so forth. And then the well-being, you can see one definition that we work with in Denmark in the green square, or not square, triangle. Well-being is to enable managers and employees to solve work tasks in a balanced way with energy, productivity, and collaboration. So this is the overall definition we use for this. Also, I want to show you 3 examples: management commitment, how you can map the prevention level in the company, and how you can define proactive indicators on well-being as examples of the way we work in the Danish Vision Zero Council. This is a Danish international meat processing company called Danish Crown. And here we have gathered the factory managers from the north part of Europe to discuss what is said in these 3 sentences. And I think it's important because I really, this has proven to be a very good way to get the management commitment. So the first question the managers were sent to discuss was, why do we need to prioritize a high level of prevention? And first the manager said, oh, because safety is important. Safety comes first, so of course. But then I asked them, what if it costs $1,000? Is it then safety first? What if it costs $50,000? Is it then still safety first? Or $1 million? So I don't buy that argument that you just say safety first. You need to discuss why is safety or health or well-being important for your business. We heard about this also from the speakers before. And the managers, they need to understand in their hearts, not just say something, but they need to understand why it's important to take care of the workers for my business. Because when they discuss that, they formulate this, they will believe it more, and they will, it's my experience, they will be more committed to work with this. So this is the first question. The next question is then, what should the top managers do differently? If we want to have more prevention, we cannot just delegate it to the us professionals. We need to say to the top managers, you must do something differently, otherwise nothing will happen. But then the interesting question is, what should the top manager do differently? And how should he implement these changes? Because we must remember, a lot of management, there are no professionals in health and safety. So we need to formulate to them what is it that we expect from the managers to do to support the change of the culture in the company. So what we did, this is one example, I know it's a bit small text also, but we made a toolbox for the top managers. These are factory managers. They were given a toolbox with one piece of paper for each of the 7 golden rules of Vision Zero, and it was described, dear top manager, here are the areas that we would like you to involve within each of the 7 golden rules. Not too specified, because you know managers like to make their own decisions, so we can just suggest some areas that they should engage in. And I have one example. And if you're interested in seeing more, please contact me afterwards. But just to tell you and to see the structure of this material, we told the managers, these are your leadership tasks within health and safety. This is the tools and different tools that you can use. And here are some proactive leading indicators you can use if you want to measure your own progress within this. And for example, the first task was you as a top manager must be a role model. And everybody said, yes, of course, I mean, I'm a role model. And then when I asked, what does it mean to be a role model? And they didn't agree on this. So they started to have to think, what is actually a role model for, as a top manager? Is that I stand up at the factory every Friday morning at 8 o'clock asking about safety? Or is it that I attend a town hall meeting once a month? Or what is it to be a role model? So the purpose of this material is to get the managers to reflect what is actually their role within the business. The other thing that we discuss a lot in the Danish Vision Zero Business Council is, we call this the Vision Zero Enterprise Maturity Scale model. Nice long word. And you will find this also in the new Vision Zero guide on well-being, because we have included it in this guide. We use it also for safety, and what it has proven to be is a very good way of discussing prevention in companies. So the text you can see is just the definition of the different levels, but I'll be going through quickly. If you as a company are at the passive level, health and safety is not a priority at all. If you are at the reactive level, health and safety might be a priority in the company, but only if you have had serious accidents or incidents. So it's the reactive companies that do something about it if it gets big enough a problem, if you understand what I mean. If you are at the active level, you want to prioritize health and safety in the organization, but sometimes it's more in words than in action. So we have the policies and we have the statements, but when it comes to action, it's not really prioritized. If we are at the proactive level, we really work with prevention in the company. And if we are at the creating level, this is where health and safety is also part of the business priorities. So what we discussed before, that it's just an important priority as other business goals. So you can reflect for yourself in your companies, your organization, at which stage are you when it comes to safety. And you can reflect which stage are you when it comes to health and to well-being. And in most companies around the world, they are higher on safety than on health and well-being. And also, if you ask managers, they answer more positively on this than employees do. So you can use this also as a way of discussing, and you can find this guide and how to work with it in the Vision Zero Wellbeing Guide on the visionsero.global, as Helmut talked about earlier. When it comes to well-being, we work a lot with that in the Danish Vision Zero Business Council, and you will find also in the Vision Zero Wellbeing Guide a translation, you could call it, of the Vision Zero Golden Rules to well-being. And you can use these golden rules regardless of how you define well-being, because this is different from country to country how we define it. I work with a Japanese company right now. Well-being is defined as anshin, which means peace of mind. So this is how they define it. But you can still use the structure if you want to work with well-being in your organizations. And the rules are explained in more detail how you can work with that. If you want to, I'll just go back, if you want to use this in your companies, you can also do it as a questionnaire. This is described also in the guide, because what is good about a questionnaire, if you can do it on paper or IT-based, is then you can make this type of heat maps, where the numbers reflect the average answer on this prevention scale I showed you. So you can see how do the employees answer compared to how does management level, the different management level answer on prevention level in general, but also for each of the 7 golden rules. And as you can see, the senior leadership team thinks prevention is much better than what the employees think. So it can create some good discussions in the companies. Also, you can find in the well-being guide examples on how do you formulate proactive leading indicators on well-being. One efficient indicator could be how often do you talk about well-being at staff meetings. That would be one way to measure if well-being is a priority. Yeah. So our experience in Denmark is that Vision Zero can be integrated maybe more easily than other health and safety strategies before in the business strategy, because it's so simple, and because for many companies it's in my part of the world, it's about retaining and or attracting and retaining employees. So Vision Zero can be a quality mark that this company works with Vision Zero, and therefore we can attract and retain more employees. The mindset is applicable in all industries, all company sizes, all job functions, and so on is our experience. And then if you want to work with this management commitment, there are so many good tools on the Vision Zero.global. Also, for example, managers, they can evaluate themselves. How are they actually working with the safety and health prevention? So some good tools for this. If you want to get started with Vision Zero, one example, if you work in companies with IT-based surveys, you can start asking people about the prevention level of the company, what do they think, as I explained before. Or you can also use this prevention level scale at the management meetings to have an open discussion, how's the prevention in our company on safety, health, and well-being. And of course, the education of what is Vision Zero. In Denmark, it's a very good argument that the EU has implemented or now talks about Vision Zero as a means of reducing fatal accidents, because then I can say to companies, you know, this is the EU strategy, you should at least know about this. So that helps us. And then we have now companies doing, I'm not sure if that's international word, but a gap analysis where they go through the 7 golden rules and actually evaluate the existing goals and action plans and strategies that are in the companies. How do that fit into the golden rules, and where do we have some gaps? Also, this is a bit of a commercial, I'm sorry, but Human House, we have now launched an international newsletter on Vision Zero. It's free to be part of this or to sign up for this newsletter, and we hope that this can start a global discussion of good practices within Vision Zero from all parts of the world. So there is you can scan the QR code or just sign up, and there are no obligations, it's free, and you can read it, and if it doesn't interest you, just throw it away again. So I hope that some of you will sign up for the newsletter. So I think my time is up. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you good luck with working with the Vision Zero mindset in your different companies and organizations.
For our third example of National Vision Zero implementation, it brings us back here to Zambia, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to call upon Mr. Chansa Kapema, who's a manager of Workers' Compensation Fund Control Board Zambia. Mr. Kapema is the manager. Occupational Health and Safety Board is Compensation Fund Control Board. He's working on medical assessments in collaboration with Ocean for Workers from the mining and quarrying operations and contracts, occupational TB and immunoprognosis for purposes of compensation. The proactive side is running homes workplace, OSHA inspections to ensure safe working patients. It's like a dog.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We want to present first and foremost our beginning course with Vision Zero in a nutshell. Trying to explain the concepts behind Vision Zero as we take it. The layout of my presentation would be the introduction, Vision Zero, and Vision Zero principles, then the second body groups, then centered approach that we're also looking at when we talk about Vision Zero. Then we also look at the psychological risks, and then item 7 will be the highway of health and safety. And then, of course, we'll look at what we are actually looking at when it comes to the Vision Zero post-launch activities that we are doing as Gambia. Then, of course, our conclude. In terms of introduction, the board, of course, collaborates with ISA and ILO on compliance and accident prevention. Then we are also looking at Vision Zero as an ISA initiative for achieving a global action of prevention culture. What is Vision Zero? You may ask. Vision Zero is action, which is followed by vision. Then we also say that Vision Zero is anchored on the 3 pillars of safety, health, and well-being. The previous speakers have actually spoken on the importance that we actually put so much on safety and well-being. We are not looking at the health aspect very, very well. Then we are also saying that Vision Zero is a paradigm shift from 40 to solution finding. Usually, when you're doing safety inspections, you tend to fault the people you're inspecting. We are saying that this is a non-faulting process, but a solution finding process. Then, in terms of technological advancements and service provision, we are saying that we should not compromise the safety and well-being of workers. A strategy for efficient accident prevention, then Vision Zero is also a flexible framework that can be actually cascaded down to the enterprise. It's a very, very flexible model. Then a culture of accident prevention, we are saying that this is a culture that looks at prevention other than reacting when an accident has happened. Then we are also saying that mistakes should not cost lives. We know that as we are carrying out our work, mistakes are bound to be made, but that should not cost lives. Then success of an enterprise is actually as a result of a motivated workforce, motivated employees. Then we are also looking at building synergies. My colleague from Uganda did speak about collaboration. You know, we cannot do this battle unless we form synergies. I'm happy to report that we've been doing joint inspections with various stakeholders, as well as ourselves, and this is just an example of the building of synergies. Then much has been spoken about with regards to the golden rules for Vision Zero. We are saying that there are also principles that govern Vision Zero, and these are life is not negotiable. In whatever that we carry out, life should not be negotiable. It's a basic human right, and that should be respected. Then we are also saying that people make mistakes will happen. Then we can go to the ability to cope with physical and mental pressure. That also becomes very crucial. Situational prevention comes first. We are saying we should adapt environments to suit users and not users to suit the work environments. We now talk about ensuring of safety and health in machines and equipment at workplaces. We talk about keeping machines, facilities, and equipment up to date with latest OSH standards. Improving qualifications.
We just have an interlude before a short one. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point I'm going to ask all of us to help ourselves to a quick coffee break. Tea break, so we can leave the room for just the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and then we can proceed after that. So let's take a quick coffee and tea break. But I won't go back in very shortly. I don't expect us to take more than 15 minutes. Please help yourselves to refreshment, do a little stretch, and then we'll come back after that. Once again, please let us leave the room for coffee break, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Can you please do that? Thank you.
Thank you.